How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 234 of the F and Marks podcast. I am Jay. Brainless One will be joining me shortly. Make sure, whether it's on the Facebook, whether it's on the YouTube, that you like, subscribe, and give us a follow. We'd really appreciate it. It's really helpful for us, and we'll get into that. And that is the Brainless One. So I will bring him in on this, and we will get the show rolling. All right, let's see how this goes. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
What's up, Cousin Jay?
Hey, not too much. So I have a new device in the house, so hopefully this will help clear up our signal. Maybe it'll make it look better. Maybe it'll make it sound better. Maybe you could see things better. Now, maybe it's not just my face you see.
I'll tell you this much. I don't know if I see I don't see the comments still, which is
sad.
But I can definitely see more of you. So that right there is a huge bonus.
Huge.
All
right. Brainless One. We had Summerslam last weekend. A lot of things came out of that show. I'd say overall, general idea, what was your feeling on SummerSlam?
If there was one word that I could use to describe what SummerSlam was for me, it was anticlimactic.
Okay.
What about you?
I would say, I tend to agree. I would say matches themselves were, mostly fair to good. There weren't matches where I'm like on, Like, what they did with Ronda and Shayna was a bit strange, and I don't know if it worked well with a wrestling audience. And I think there could have been things that could have been better about pacing on that. But, all in all, I thought the matches were fine. But I agree. Like, when you had Jey Uso be the person going against Roman Reigns, it's like going, okay, this is a few years after that initial confrontation where Jey wasn't sure he wanted to side with his cousin. And here we are all these years later. And yep, that crack that was there from the beginning was still there. And, part of the healing of that was his brother.
Right.
And Jimmy coming back was the thing that ended up leading to it coming together. And Jimmy coming back this time led to further fracturing. But I don't know. It felt like retread and lazy for the end of that match. They could have gone a million different ways, and they went that way.
I think between the fact that it was anticlimactic, like you said, is exactly like with that whole story with the main event with the tribal combat that they did. But it really felt like the rest. I mean, between that and the fact that it just felt predictable. And I know that you and I did our predictions last week, and we only got a couple wrong. But for the most part, everything else was really predictable. I called that Jey Uso was going to get involved, and he was going to cost his brother. Jimmy Uso got involved, and he was going to cost Jey the match.
Yeah.
We both knew that Logan Paul. I mean, it was as clear as day that Logan Paul was going to win. The same thing with Gunther.
Right.
And it's just all the card was just very predictable, and the one or two elements of unpredictability that they did was the whole handling of the women's championship match and that triple threat.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for specifically the triple threat, that was the longest on record women's match in SummerSlam history. And I don't believe it's counting the cash-in. I think they said just the match alone, with it being over 20 minutes, was the longest women's match they've ever had. So,
wow.
Yeah. All right, Chris Brown saying, and after SummerSlam, Heyman used a baseball analogy to describe where they're at in the storyline and said they're in the bottom of the third, which to me says this is going until WrestleMania 40. Dude, Chris Brown, I hate to break it to you. They've been doing the storyline for 3 years. If they're in the bottom of the third, we have 6 more years. Basically, what Heyman's saying is he's going to pass out Bruno Sammartino. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
That's exactly what I'm hearing too. If he's saying the bottom of it, because I saw that quote too, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't. The math isn't mathing right now, because we're already in. If that was the case, the bottom of the third would be year 3 of 9 years as champion.
Right.
And the only thing that I can guarantee is if the podcast is still going on, and I fully intend for that podcast to still be going on 6 years from now. Mm-hmm. Curtis Axel will still be alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Oh, there's zero doubt in my mind about that.
Yes.
Of course he's going to be alive.
In the 2015 Rumble.
Yeah, at that point it'll be 2029 and he'll be in the Royal Rumble for 14 years. He's going to be like Rip Van Winkle. He's going to wake up one day and be like, what happened to it all? But
Jay, at that point, he's going to be at like 5,000 days.
Right.
And then he'll definitely retweet that tweet.
I mean, he passed 3,000, so that'll be great. It'll be great. So.
And honestly, it does look like they're going to have this end at WrestleMania. If the reports are true that Roman Reigns did actually get hurt in this match, I'd be curious to see where they go going forward. But the other thing I wanted to take away from this, or I took away from SummerSlam, in a positive light, was how they booked a Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah.
They didn't need to have a 30, 45-minute brawl. They got it all done in like 15 minutes. They told a great story. We're going to overlook the fact that Cody grabbed the stairs and used it to attack Brock with and not get called for disqualification because the referee was right there and saw it as clear as day. Threw him in the ring. They did the back and forth with the Kimura and the freaking F5s. And when Cody hit him with those 3 crossroads, like he hit him and then they picked him up and hit him a second time. And when he was trying to get him up for that, I'm like, there's no way. Brock's he's going to find a way to reverse it, pick him up F5 and matches. No, he hit him with the third one. And Cody was victorious. And after the match, Brock broke kayfabe a little bit, or went against the script, or whatever you want to call it. He went and he shook Cody's hand. He raised his hand up, showed him to the crowd. We don't know exactly when the story is going to end because there's a whole bunch of stories that are just kind of intertwined with each other to tell this one great story. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, Cody Rhodes will be the man who dethrones Roman Reigns.
All right, Chris Brown saying, creative license, brainless one. Those stairs were modern-day poke of doom. Laughing my ass off. You know, outside of that little thing there, it really was a well-constructed storyline, you know, from beginning to end, from Brock beating the hell out of him and not wanting to partner with him going against Roman Reigns, you know, all those months ago on Raw, to having now these 3 matches where, you know, Brock was dominant in the first 2 and even dominant during most of this match, but Cody ended up, you know, having that Rocky Balboa fighting spirit and just refused to stay down. I really like this match. I'd say it's probably my favorite match of the night.
I agree. And nothing against Gunther, because I'll tell you right now, that was the one prediction that I thought I was making correctly that I was dead wrong on. He beat Drew McIntyre convincingly.
Yeah.
I have not seen Drew McIntyre get beaten that bad since the days of playing the air guitar with Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal.
You shouldn't have hindered.
He hit him with that power. I said, it's over. He hit him with one. I was like, he's done.
Yeah.
Absolutely done. Wow, that was an impressive. That was the most impressive victory. I loved the Cody and the Brock match the most.
Yeah.
Gunther was the most impressive of anybody on Saturday.
Yeah, I could jive with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. So as far as booking goes for Balor and Rollins, part of the match itself was more or less fine. Booking wise, though, if you're the head of a faction, and one of your underlings has a Money in the Bank contract, don't you think you would have talked to them ahead of time and said, "Hey, you're not cashing in, right? No, not cashing in." And made that clear, and you get this thing in the ring, and he brings the Money in the Bank brief. Damian Priest brings the briefcase with him, but it was again kind of like a rehash of that last match. We're like, oh, is he cashing in? It costs Finn, and again, that felt like a bit of laziness as far as the booking goes. I think they could have done something more interesting than that, and I think both of us actually picked Finn to win the match because
we did.
Hey, it would have been shown that faction as a stronger overall piece by having 3 champions and having the Money in the Bank all in the same family, and there would have been nothing stopping, him, Damian Priest, from going after Roman Reigns. Clearly, the plan is not for him to cash in on Roman Reigns.
Correct. But honestly, not only that, but him being the world champion and that faction with the briefcase just adds that extra wrinkle that we've already seen, the little cracks in the armor of the Spooky Pals.
Yeah.
So having Finn as champion with Damian Priest holding that briefcase, just making him feel uncomfortable, that just would be so much better. And again, this isn't about Seth Rollins not being champion. I have no issue with Seth Rollins being champion because he's busted his ass and deserves to be world heavyweight champion, and he is a fighting champion. But you did all that video package. You talked about the 7 years. He got the tattoo. He did all of that stuff. You made everybody think that this is the route they were going to go, where they were going to change the hands of the championship and have Finn be the champion. And then you had the same outcome as the last match, and he gets curb stomped on the briefcase to lose the match.
Yeah. Yeah. Better things could have been done for that. Jessica chimed in and said, who do we see taking the title off Gunther? At this point, for me, it feels like it's a date so far in the future, I don't think I could make any prediction on that. Chris Brown chimed in and said, it's his understanding Drew was royally pissed after his match and left the arena still in his gear.
Interesting.
If that's true, I mean, is the Smoke and Fire interview that Drew gave a couple weeks ago before SummerSlam, where he more or less admitted that there were some truth to the rumors out there while he was out on injury, and possibly either some creative issues and or just booking issues in general with the company.
Yeah.
Does this continue Drew on a path of like, all right, once my contract's up, I'm getting the hell out of here? Or does this motivate Drew even more to figure out what the heck his next step is for his character? I mean, personally, I'd love to see him go full on heel and just kick everybody's ass.
It could be kayfabe.
There are certainly a lot. It's possible that they're trying to mess with people and what have you. But
because if you think about it, because we mentioned it, like you just mentioned it here on the podcast. People are still talking about Drew's contract. So obviously, if Drew storms out of the arena wearing his gear, people are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there was no word that he actually re-signed the contract or got all the issues he had with creative out of the way. He could have already signed his contract, and he's just making it seem like that this could lead to a heel turn or something.
Maybe.
But I got to put the brainless hat on.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Is that equivalent to your version of the thinking cap?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I showed up on the podcast as LA Knight, so now I have to go into brainless mode.
Let me talk to you.
I have a crazy idea of how they should book Gunther as the or how Gunther should drop the Intercontinental Championship.
Okay.
Let's say he's the one that wins the Royal Rumble, because I don't know how they're going to do this Cody versus Roman thing. I don't really want to see Cody win the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row. I like to see somebody like Gunther get that Royal Rumble victory, because hell, after his performance this past one, and the way he's kind of been presented as the Intercontinental Champion, as in my opinion, I don't even care if this is his only reign as Intercontinental Champion. He's going to go down as one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. And AEW has champions lose in non-title matches a hell of a lot more than WWE does. And oh, by the way, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion didn't even make it to the finals of the G1 finals. Or the G1 Classic, whatever it's called. He lost to a guy named Evil. Clean. And the way that they have presented Gunther, especially after the way that the Intercontinental title has been presented over the years, after The Miz and Dolph Ziggler and Jon Moxley were feuding for the title 7 years ago, which was the highest peak that it's had in a long time.
Right.
Gunther has brought and established the Intercontinental title, and it has it prestigious again. He wins the Royal Rumble. So now he has to challenge for either the Universal title or whatever the hell they're going to call it, 27 titles Roman Rumble. Or he's going to go out to the World Champion, which I wouldn't be surprised about, because later on in my top 10, I have my top 10 hot takes from SummerSlam this year.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Yeah. After he wins the Royal Rumble and he challenges whatever champion, he relinquishes the title. I have held this championship for X amount of days or X amount of time or whatever it is, and nobody was able to beat me. So clearly there's nobody here in WWE that can beat me for this title. So now I'm done with it, and I'm going to go after the world title. Obviously, he could word it a lot better than how I worded it, because I'm not winning the Royal Rumble in 2024. I'm going to win the presidency in 2024.
Yes.
But I think that's one way to do it. Or if you get somebody like Ron Brecker, because that would be a good way to have him come up and debut on the main roster, to have him go and beat Gunther, or have Dragunov do it, because we know Dragunov can do it. Gunther's been beaten.
I want to see Braun Breaker versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of matches I want to see Braun Breaker versus. And that's the thing. They can bring him up at any point. They don't have to push him to the top. There's enough guys in the mid to upper level of the card that he can feud with and have great matches.
Sure.
Him and Drew McIntyre, him and Sheamus. Hell, him and Gunther had a great match down in NXT. And Braun Breaker is one of like 3 people who have pinned Gunther in WWE.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of mileage on that kid before you're ready to push him up to be the main guy. He needs time on the main roster. Thrusting him into the main event picture, kind of like what you tried to do with Jason Jordan all those years ago, is a bad decision. And it's not because Jason Jordan was a bad athlete or a bad wrestler. It's because he had the personality that was just this much better than Jack Perry. But I think I would like to see them do something like that, because that would really, like, him holding the title that long. And then, like, I am relinquishing this because I'm going to move on to go after the bigger championship. Or have him win the title like freaking Warrior did at WrestleMania 6.
WrestleMania 6? 7 was the retirement match.
Yep, that's right. And that was when Hogan fought that traitor, Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah. Brother.
Iraqi sympathizer. And then, if I remember correctly, when the Warrior won the championship at WrestleMania 6, he had to relinquish the Intercontinental title, correct?
That was part of the gimmick. We also could go back not that far when Seth Rollins, what was he, U.S. champion and heavyweight champion simultaneously, and he was defending both.
Do you remember when he won the United States Championship? And you know who got the hockey assist for him winning the title that night, correct?
I'm blanking right now.
John
Cena. Oh, that's right. That's right. He went heel for the night.
Top 10 favorite moment in wrestling history. Jon Stewart turning heel on John Cena at SummerSlam that cost him the United States Championship. And that wasn't even the most egregious thing we've ever seen at SummerSlam, or the most egregious thing we've ever seen at SummerSlam that included John Cena.
Chris Brown saying Gunther can say that now that he's past Honky Tonk Man's wrestling, he's moving on to bigger and better things. But when Gunther does that, it's time for him to cast off the shackles of Imperium. I think the Imperium still has some juice to it. I think it helps with his presentation. I would say overall, if he does say something, Chris Brown, I wouldn't have him say he's moving on to better things, because then again, that would kind of bury the IC strap. After he's done all these good for rejuvenating it and making it feel like it's an important title. So I think it would be more beneficial if he maintained the title, and whether he's forced to relinquish it because they come up with some hokey rule that they've decided upon, and they'll bring back up the Ultimate Warrior just so they could say, oh, yes, see, this is how consistent we've been about, yeah. That's what they'll do to try to prove that. And, oh, by the way, commentators-wise, with the shifting of the commentary teams, it sounds pretty much to me, because it said that it was pushed by partners of Endeavor and WWE, media partners of Endeavor and WWE. So what this tells me is it was USA Network. USA Network didn't like Kevin Patrick's calls on Monday Night Raw. Apparently, WWE likes Kevin Patrick, thinks he works hard. But I think this is pure speculation. I believe that the folks at USA Network saw the Brainless One's minor rant about Kevin Patrick as a short on our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe to that, all y'all out there. And they're like, you know what? He's right. He's right. We don't need Kevin Patrick.
My favorite part was you explained that the most Cousin Jay way possible, where you're just really nice about it. And then there's me going, Michael Cole is replacing Kevin Patrick because Kevin Patrick was the absolute drizzle shits.
Yeah.
He was terrible, Jay. God awful. I can't listen to him on Monday Night Raw. It's terrible. I can't do it. It was Jay, in 35 years. I know that I'm setting the bar to a point because I grew up just like you did with Gorilla Monsoon. On the other side, damn it. With Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, and Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, guys who were really, really good at what they did. Smells like chloroform, brother.
I mean, wait. Macho Man said, smells like chloroform.
That's what
Chloroform. WrestleMania 9.
And
Hey, Macho Man even showed up at SummerSlam this year. Let me talk to you, yeah. We'll get into that in a minute.
Amazingly, that wasn't my good for this week. I know you're probably stunned. You're beyond shocked. You're stunned that he is not my good for this week. And I got a good story with it too, so you're gonna love that.
Yeah?
I'm just saying, we've gone through Josh Matthews, who had a nosebleed in the middle of a commentary. He sounded like your little brother calling a wrestling match. We dealt with, oh my God, I love Joey Styles. Don't get me wrong, I love Joey Styles. But oh my God, we went through that. We had JBL. I love me some Booker T, but there's been points where Booker T has not been the greatest commentator. We've gone through Mike
Adam Lee. Jeff Harvey.
Oh, I just pulled an Adam Lee. I never laughed so hard in my life when she said that.
Yep.
But Kevin Patrick is in that conversation with being the worst of the worst. We're talking like Adnan Virk bad. We're talking, what was it, Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith was serviceable, but Jimmy Smith wasn't rememberable.
No, like he was propped up by Corey Graves.
And I'll tell you right now, Michael Cole, for what he's worth, for what it's worth, he's been there for 27, 28 years, something like that.
26 years, 1997.
He's been there so long, and he has done everything. Let the man have his flowers. He deserves this. He really does. He has busted his ass and lost 60% of his hearing dealing with Vince McMahon for 26 years, screaming in his ear. And you know what? He's pretty okay. I was going to say damn good, but I'm like, oh, wait, hold on, Pinocchio. Your nose is going to start growing.
Michael Cole has been there for 26 years, and he's missed twice. He missed 2 shows, 26 years. That's pretty damn incredible. You know, and there were some people who, I think PWI back in the day listed Gorilla Monsoon as the worst commentator. So I think it all a little bit comes down to age. There are people who have more or less known only professional wrestling with Michael Cole as an announcer, and they don't know any better. They just know at this point that he got a lot better when Pat McAfee entered the fray. I mean, there's been a lot you could say about Michael Cole over the years where, you know, he was, when he and Taz were together, they were great.
Yes.
And then, like, there was a period there where it was just terrible. I actually enjoyed heel Michael Cole. Social distancing before social distancing became a thing. The coal mine, which got destroyed by The Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, we had to live through that match that he had against Lawler. But all that being said, Michael Cole has been, you know, a good soldier over the years. He doesn't have a terrible voice. Sometimes he is, I mean, a big part of the problem was Vince. I remember when Twitter first started and became a thing, Michael Cole had to talk about Twitter every like 3.7 seconds. And you just wanted to put your hand through the TV and say, shut the hell up about Twitter. I think he played his role perfectly well when he had the laptop with the Raw general manager.
May I have your attention, please? I've just received an email from the anonymous Raw general manager.
He got so much heat. And I was at some of those shows where he was doing that. The crowd wanted to kill him. when he was announced before Raw even started, like, they bring out the announcers and they have them with their music. He was getting heel heat, even when he wasn't a heel, just by doing that.
I still remember when he was heel announcer around the time CM Punk won at Money in the Bank. And it was when Cody Rhodes was doing his dashing Cody Rhodes gimmick.
Was it before the paper bags?
Oh, no, this was during the paper bags because Cody Rhodes was handing them out, or somebody was handing out paper bags, and they handed one to Booker T, and Booker T refused to put the mask on. And I remember because I could hear it, because you can hear what they're saying. The announcers, you can hear them throughout the arena as the show's going on.
Yeah.
So you can see what's going on, and then he's got the paper bag over his head, and he's trying to call the show with the paper bag over his head. And I'm like, and I'm just sitting there at the casino going, this is not what I was expecting to happen at the first Raw or SmackDown I've ever been to, where Michael Cole is going to be calling a Cody Rhodes match with a paper bag.
With a paper bag over his head. Quite honestly, the voice he did was kind of similar to Lars Sullivan without the heavy breathing. If I'm being fair. Oh, by the way, Tim, F and Mark's Hall of Famer. How are you? Thanks for checking in. All right. Chris Brown says, keep in mind, Jay, when it comes to commentary, even Cole's days are numbered. I can see us having a Raw desk with Wade Barrett and Pat McAfee. And then says, in parentheses, evil grin.
See, the only thing is, I like Wade Barrett. And I know a lot of people were wondering how he was going to transition into the role of the SmackDown team with Michael Cole. Wade Barrett, I don't know if I would feel comfortable enough with him being the play-by-play guy. Gorilla Monsoon, for what it's worth, Gorilla Monsoon was able to knock it out of the park, considering the fact he was a professional wrestler. And with doing a team with McAfee and Wade Barrett as the 1-2 punch,
there would have to be a third. There would have to be a third.
If they did a three-man with, because it's going to happen. McAfee's coming back. There's no way. They have all these ties now with ESPN. Yeah. McAfee is there in with ESPN. They're going to get him on SmackDown. They're going to get him on Raw. He's going to be on everything. McAfee's going to be hosting WrestleMania with The Miz and LA Knight at some point.
Let me talk to you.
And it's just, if you're going to do it, you're going to need a third person. And like we've seen, all they have is Michael Cole. They could probably get what the hell's the dude's name from NXT?
Vic Joseph?
Vic Joseph. I think Vic Joseph with Wade Barrett and Pat McAfee, if they decide to go younger, Vic Joseph has done an excellent job at NXT. I really enjoyed him. I thought he was good when he was calling. I think it was 205 Live he was calling. And
they brought him up briefly. They brought him up briefly to, I think he was Raw, if I'm remembering right.
I think you're right. And I think that he would be a really good compliment for those guys. If they decide they want to go and give like Michael Cole more of like a backstage role where he could be a producer or something like that, where he's not in front of the camera as much. But I mean, this is a sign that Cole's there for a while, because there's no way you're going to have a transition to cover both and the pay-per-views.
Right.
Without him being like, all right, you're going to be here for a minute.
So one thing Chris Brown did chime in with, Michael Cole specifically has said when he gets to his 60s, he's kind of, I think, going to quit the full-time schedule that he's on at this point. But, I mean, that's still about 5 years or 6 years away. But that was kind of the window that he gave as far as Pat McAfee coming back and, kind of sort of taking over at some point. So I think we'll get McAfee back within the next couple of years on a more regular basis than what we've seen in the last, year and a half. His kid will be a little bit older, and, McAfee is 100% bought in to WWE because it was Vince McMahon mostly who gave him the advice of how to get the contract that he currently has with ESPN, despite the fact that he had signed like that really big contract a year before. but apparently there was some sort of out clause, but he got all that knowledge from Vince in WWE. So I'm sure in his mind, he's like, I'm forever indebted to these people. By the way, I also love what they do, and I love being in the ring doing that.
It's incredible to see Pat McAfee excel the way he did in WWE. The way that they brought him in NXT, he was working with Adam Cole on his show and everything and built that up. They actually had a pretty decent match at NXT TakeOver 30.
Yeah.
He cut a damn good promo. We saw one of the greatest heel promos when they did the NFL draft in Tennessee, and he absolutely lit the Titan fans up like I've never like they played the Bills in that game where they came back and won 38-35.
Yeah, Music City Miracle.
And no, that was Tennessee who won that one.
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy that Pat McAfee is the most popular person in WWE. Well, second most popular person in WWE. And the way he transitioned and the way he got Michael Cole to fall in love with being the play-by-play guy for WWE again, you can't take that away from him. I don't know what they're going to do. I know he said he wants to wrestle. At this point, I don't know, because I know he's not quite my age, but he's closer to my age than he is to LeBron James' kid's age. So let's just put it that way.
Right.
But I'd like to see him come back in some capacity, obviously, because I love Pat McAfee.
All right. Mike Rainey says, if you had to choose between Kevin Patrick and Mike Adamle as an announcer, who are you choosing?
That would be like asking me if I was locked in a room with Mike Adamle and Kevin Patrick and I had a gun with one bullet, I'd shoot myself. Because Kevin Patrick, because like you mentioned the breathing, he's a heavy breather when he's on the broadcasting, as well as the fact that he is like emotionless when he's talking. But Mike Adamle would be like mid-sentence and just not know what the fuck he's talking about.
Now, we ended up finding out later on there was a medical reason for that, and it's like, okay, we'll give Adamle a pass. We got Jeff Harvey for life because of him.
Oops, I pulled an Adamle. With a tear in my eye, Cousin Jay. That was definitely the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
But by the way, FM Marks Hall of Famer Tim also mentioned something about Kevin Patrick, kind of always being like out of breath.
Yes. Cornette and I quite frequently on this podcast. I really haven't had a chance to listen to Cornette at all this week, so I haven't had a chance to hear his opinion of Michael Cole being the double dose doom, as they so eloquently used to refer to.
All right, Chris Brown saying coal mine and him advertising for the network every 15 seconds were parts of Michael Cole's career I could have done without. Graves would take over SmackDown, and if they asked Coach to come back, laughing my ass off.
I'd shoot myself.
Between Patrick and Adamle, I'd rather get a root canal without the gas.
As somebody who has gotten 2 root canals in his life, I agree. That's all I'm going to put. That was.
I agree. All right.
I agree.
So
since we were talking about, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
About the stuff with the merger, because Michael Cole is getting a call because of all this. I have another little tidbit that we found out this week in regards to the merger.
Yeah?
Yeah? Once this merge happens next month and WWE becomes a part of Endeavor, Triple H will no longer be part of the board of directors. What are your thoughts?
When you have a merger and you have a board of directors who are making decisions, I think they pick and choose those things for reasons. Uh, it would have, made a certain amount of sense if they kept Triple H as part of the board of directors. But I think this is one of Vince's things. Who, when he talked with the, you know, CEO of Endeavor, probably said like, "Hey, pal, I'm gonna make it look like this guy, like we're okay, but let me do something that like shows that I'm the one that has the power. I'm the one in command." Even though Vince right now is out on indefinite medical, leave from the company, just another way Vince is showing I'm gone, but I'm not. Oh, by the way, reports out there saying that before Vince went out with this spinal surgery, that he was heavily involved in creative. And Triple H, even at SummerSlam, said, "Hey, you got Vince McMahon here. Why wouldn't I ask his advice about X, Y, and Z? Why wouldn't I ask him? He's
Because
forgotten more things about the business than all of us combined."
because we'll turn X, Y, and Z into Q, R, and S.
But he won't turn it into QTV. Yeah,
That one hurt.
yeah.
Nobody's stupid enough, except for maybe a coked out billionaire child, would put some kind of. Actually, no. I am really surprised that Vince McMahon hasn't done anything stupid enough, like freaking QTV.
Well, there was what, GTV back in the day, and they never officially revealed. Yeah, I think that show happened. If I'm remembering right, I think I was at that show. It was in Hartford.
God,
Oh, it was a big show, and then Val Venus.
Ladies. Which is funny because you mentioned Val Venus because I just saw a clip of Choppy My PV. I was like, yeah, I don't know how WWE got away with some of the stuff they got away with in the 90s.
Yeah, nor I.
I can't wait because he had the back surgery. We talked last week about how he got indicted. Was he indicted or was he subpoenaed?
He was subpoenaed. He was subpoenaed, and because right now he's. I'm gonna put the fact that maybe he had a medical procedure at 75%. 75%, because this is the same man that when he had the steroid trial put on a neck brace. He went full like.
He had neck surgery before the trial, Jay. How dare you make those accusations? Just like you accused Hulk Hogan of not wrestling 400 days in a single year.
Yes.
Or killing Andre the Giant 9 days after he body slammed him at the Silverdome, weighing in at 700 pounds and tearing every ligament in his back. That man had surgery. Just like he had a medical procedure right before he got subpoenaed for something with or without Donald Trump being attached to it. I'm still convinced that Trump is attached to Vince's subpoena because it's too coincidental that they're running at the same time. But not too coincidental that Vince McMahon is having back surgery right before he got subpoenaed or right after he got subpoenaed, because he's going to show up to court in a full body cast.
He's going to be in a gurney. He's going to be wheeled in a gurney, and like he's going to have his dastardly criminal mustache, and he's going to sit there and look so sad and pathetic in the trial, or in whatever happens as far as the indictment goes. And then once he gets off, you're going to see him as if Jesus Christ has come back down to earth and pulled him off of his mat and said, "Get up and walk." And then after he does that, Vince is going to go, and then he's going to run off and do something else dastardly.
I was going to say Steve Austin was going to hit him in the head.
Well, I mean, he'll probably take a stunner after that just to, really showcase.
Stunner, bedpan, and then Brutus Beefcake's going to come and trim that mustache right off his lip.
I saw the barber in this week's episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
I'm 3 weeks behind. I still haven't watched Bam Bam Bigelow yet.
It was the Jannetty episode.
Oh, I know. I'm really sad that it is Friday because I had a plan, and then everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So I just
you know what? I'm glad that you borrowed some words from the great philosopher Mike Tyson.
This is now the second time I've quoted Mike Tyson since noon.
It's ludicrous.
Maybe even later. It's probably like 2:00. But it's because the internet exists, and I'm not a very pleasant person on the internet.
Apparently, Mike Tyson ended up helping leave Ric Flair in a marijuana-induced coma. Apparently, they had partied so hard and smoked the ganj so much that Flair thought he was like in another universe. He wasn't sure he was alive. Oh, by the way, it sounds remarkably similar to another story that came out this week that perhaps Ric Flair fell asleep during his final match and that he had to get woken up by his son-in-law. I'm wondering if perhaps he had smoked all that ganj with Tyson and was drinking alcohol and didn't drink any water, and that's why he fell asleep during his final match, which was a shit show anyway.
I'm glad you mentioned this. I'm gonna have to tell this really quickly because I can definitely tell you it is very possible that Tyson has done this to Ric Flair. Because I always think of the first time I ever did edibles. And whatever they tell you about edibles, listen to people when they tell you. Because when they tell you to eat a brownie or a cookie or microdose or whatever you're going to do it and wait. Give it about 45 minutes, maybe an hour before it kicks in. Don't be somebody stupid and after 20 minutes, I don't feel anything, and then demolish 2 more brownies.
Well.
Because I will tell you right now, a certain someone who shall remain brainless did that one time during a Giants playoff game many, many, many moons ago. I ate 3 brownies in the span of an hour and smoked a whole bunch of pot. I could not tell you one play that occurred in that game. I had no idea the Giants lost that game. Pretty sure they shut out. All I remember was we ate the brownies, we smoked, the Giants played football, we ate hamburgers, and the next day I woke up after sleeping for 13 consecutive hours.
Was that the Vikings game?
Carolina Panthers.
Sad.
Yeah. It was, in fact, I can tell you, it was Eli Manning's first career playoff game.
Playoffs?
So it was 2006, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember a thing. All I remember was we ate cheeseburgers, and I got home at 12:30. I got home at 12:30, and I woke up at 1:30 the next afternoon.
Yeah, so apparently Mike Tyson can handle himself, and Ric Flair not as much. There are a couple of dents in the fender there.
Jay, that man is running on if he's a car, he's got a 76 like Honda fucking transmission in that thing.
He's got a Pinto.
His diamond belts are actual belts that you put around your waist because they just keep falling off.
But
that was terrible. I could have done better. I'm sorry.
Sad.
Maybe I should have ate 3 brownies for the show.
Yeah.
And I could have fell asleep like Ric
Flair. Anyway, so just to backtrack a little bit, because we didn't get too much into this one, I thought Logan Paul and Ricochet actually had a solid match, but when they talked about having something that was going to be a super viral moment, I did not see anything in this match where I was like going, yeah, that was something epic. Like that I needed to watch over and over again. There were none of those moments. Really solid match. Nothing to complain about with the match. But when you hype yourself up as if you're going to do something that's like never been seen before, it did underwhelm as far as that goes. But the match itself was really solid if you didn't hear that beforehand.
Anticlimactic. Once again, SummerSlam was anticlimactic. Again, like you were right, it was a great match, but here we are, not even a week later, and we barely talked about it because it was just, okay, it was a good match. You guys promised us bells and whistles and pomp and circumstance, and you gave us a fart in the church.
Mm.
I like that Ricochet got a chance and an opportunity at SummerSlam, considering the fact that Triple H has been on the whole thing where it's all about quality and not quantity of matches.
Yeah.
But I expected a lot more from the two of them. How long, though? How long until we get Shane McMahon versus Logan Paul?
Until Shane's quad heals. So maybe WrestleMania 40.
Apparently.
By the way, tickets are on sale right now. Although right now the packages that they're putting out there, it's like the cheapest one's like, I think like $750.
Yeah, hold on. I got to get a knife and cut my kidney out so we can go.
Hey, you have an opportunity to earn your way to WrestleMania tomorrow.
Cousin Jay, I have known you a very, very, very long time. And this is not your or I's first rodeo at the horse track or something horse related manana. I will guarantee you this, Stone Cold Lead Pipe Live. We have a better chance of seeing the thing that you're half expecting to see tomorrow than we do of me winning enough money so that I can go to WrestleMania in Philadelphia in April.
Woo!
You know, I feel like I have to tell you. I was going to save it for tomorrow, but I feel like I have to tell you. Like Austin Powers said in Goldmember, I did it again. I know it's not wrestling related, and I was going to save it for tomorrow, but you know, this is too good. I've been sitting on it, and I have to tell you. So over the weekend, FanDuel, for whatever reason, at least 2 or 3 times this summer, has sent me these $5 free bets on the horse racing. So the first couple of times that they did this, I got a little creative, and I took that $5 in free bets, and I betted on this. You know, I did like a crazy superfecta here, crazy trifecta here, and I spread that $5 so much that it was impressive. I didn't think I could ever get that many horse racing bets on $5.
That's what she said.
Yes. So this last time I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not doing it this way. The best thing for me to do is just go for somebody who's got some decent odds with a really good jockey on him. And it just so happens that Irad Ortiz was riding the 7th horse in one of the races on, I forget, it was either Saturday or Sunday. So I decided to take that $5 free bet and put it on him. And as they were coming down the stretch and it looked like the 7 was about to win, it toppled over and threw Irad Ortiz off.
Sounds like a replay of Saratoga.
Later that night, because I watched the race, and I said, of course he did. Because why wouldn't the one time I bet on the hottest jockey in all of horse racing to win a race that he was so going to win at one of my favorite places on planet Earth. And I saw later that night they euthanized the horse. So now, Cousin Jay, I haven't even told El Diablo Blanco. I couldn't even tell him on Tuesday when I talked to him. Because, and the funny thing was, we mentioned it because I mentioned it where we were going tomorrow. And he says, well, make sure you don't kill a horse. Dad, it's only happened like a couple, it happened more times than once.
And the last time we were there, you started a fire.
I did not start a fire.
Okay, a fire started and we just happened to be there and it delayed a lot of things.
All I know is that the alarm was going off and I was still trying to get a bed in and they told me to leave the building as I was trying to put my ticket in the machine. There may or may not be pictures of me all over the entranceway at Colonial Downs tomorrow.
Yeah. All right.
And if they're not, they'll definitely be there by the end of the day.
On a not completely related note, but I'm going to just put it as semi-related note, Marty Jannetty and everyone interviewed in this week's Dark Side of the Ring get brainless of the week. He's not far off there. All right. Mike Rainey saying, speaking of Andrade, rumors are him and Charlotte are no longer a couple. Interesting.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Tim had a woo. Okay.
Woo!
SummerSlam peaked after the first 3 matches and went downhill from there.
What was the third match? Because I remember that they started with Logan Paul and Ricochet, and then Brock Lesnar begrudgingly went on second. Was the Battle Royal third?
I think it was.
Oh my God, Jay. We're however long into the podcast, we haven't even really mentioned it.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. Hold on. Gotta go full on. Let me talk to you. Yeah. So whether they bumped Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus from the SummerSlam card so that we can have the moment that we were anticipating having on Saturday remains to be seen. I think that they could have done it and we could have done away with that abomination of a wrestling match that we called Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, and we could have had Trish and Becky instead, but that's neither here nor there. Also, Roman Reigns didn't need to take 4.5 hours to get to the ring either.
Are you sure?
But I'll tell you right now, I saw, because I was watching the pre-show, and I saw the participants in this match, and I went, son of a bitch. I'm like, this went from being like, okay, there's a few people in it to like, okay, Bronson Reed's in here. I could see him winning this thing. Tommaso Ciampa's in this thing. I could definitely see Ciampa winning this thing. Obviously, Sheamus can win this thing. There was a bunch of people in there that I was like, it's not out of the realm of possibility they're going to win.
Then they brought in Omos.
Then they shocked us. And I was this close, Jay, this close to texting you and saying, I want to change my pick. Because I said, Omos is going to go out there and throw all 25 other people out of the ring, and I'm going to be just as happy when he does it as I would if LA Knight had actually won the match. But they did it the right way. He threw out some of the extra guys. They had in a numbers game still in their advantage. They finally decided to join forces and eliminate the biggest threat, which is rule number 1 in regards to Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles.
If we learned anything from Andre the Giant and him being 700 pounds in WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 3.
But think about all the Andre the Giant Battle Royals where they're like, all right, we got to get the Big Show out, or we got to get Mark Henry out. Or when AEW did their first ever Battle Royal and it was Billy Gunn. When Billy Gunn was the biggest person in the wrestling match. And he needed 20 other guys to team up to eliminate Billy.
Marco Stunt, Danhausen.
Orange Cassidy was hitting him with those thunderous kicks.
Luigi Primo.
That's what they got to do. They got to do one of those types of battle royals where they bring in Luigi Primo and they bring in the Man Scout and they bring in Danhausen and just do like this just crazy, gimmicky battle royal type of thing because I would watch it even if it would be silly. But anyway, we get to the final three, and it's AJ Styles, Sheamus, and LA Knight. Styles finally gets eliminated down to the last two. LA Knight went out there, he shined, eliminated Sheamus, and finally, if you ain't talking about LA Knight, you ain't talking,
Yeah.
The man finally won a marquee match. Granted, it was a battle royal, the third match of the card on SummerSlam, but it was something.
Yeah.
They kept teasing us for months that the poor guy was actually going to get a chance and an opportunity. And they finally pulled the trigger. To the point that on Monday Night Raw, I loved every second of that whole thing between The Miz and LA Knight. From The Miz going in there for the pictures and he's getting cut in line by LA Knight. That promo by The Miz was excellent. The Miz deserves his flowers because he has been there for so long. He has had a really, really good career. He's Baron and Maurice.
Yeah.
So, and he cut that promo, and Eli Drake cut a damn good promo.
Yeah.
Monday. And I think if this is the route they're going to go, and hell, put him back on NXT. Give me LA Knight Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I'll watch him every night of the week. You want? Let him go to AEW. Let him go over there. He'd be the most over person over there after Don Callis. But it was good, and they're starting to build him up. And now everybody who's been crying like, oh, you said he was going to have his moment at WrestleMania. Oh, he's going to have his moment at the Andre the Giant. Oh, he's going to win Money in the Bank. He's going to win the United States Championship. You finally pulled the trigger. You give him the ball and see what he can do. Let him run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where they go with him going forward.
All right. Chris Brown saying, that's right. I heard that moronic male models might die. So there's that. SummerSlam with the merchandise sales, LA Knight was not on the list that I saw. I'm sure he was high up there, but it did say the top three, the three R's, not the three I's, the three R's here. Rollins, Rhodes, Ripley. Those were the three big sellers in downtown Detroit at Ford Field. Seth Franklin Rollins, the American Nightmare, and Rhea Ripley. By the way, Rhea Ripley, Buddy Matthews, congratulations on your engagement. I'm sure Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom, is even dirtier today than he was yesterday because of this news.
I may give you or myself a late edition for Brainless for this week because you were sitting there going the three R's, and I'm thinking Roman. God, no, Cody's with a C. So it's not Cody. Who the fuck's the R in Cody? And you're like Rhodes, and I went, oh, good.
Let me tell you, baby.
It's not just the gimmick, people. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's not good enough to get my Brainless because I got a good one for my Brainless this week. But it was close. I mean, that might be the latest we've had an entry for Brainless for the week.
I mean, I know we've had many early entries into the Brainless category.
Yes, we have.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Vince McMahon.
All right. So, what Chris Brown was saying is that whatever injury Bray Wyatt has been dealing with has been a life-threatening illness, whatever it may be. Now, someone his age, life-threatening illness, to me, like, cancer is the one that pops up to my brain immediately. And maybe he has that and just doesn't want to be out there with it. At least not now.
And don't try to cheat the system like the brainless one did and go to his nurse wife and ask her, what could Bray Wyatt be sick with that could be not only career threatening but life threatening? Expecting an answer when she looks at you and goes, it could be a number of things.
It could be a lot.
Yeah. And all I'm going to say is I'm glad that they're taking his health into consideration. Because at the end of the day, him getting home to his wife and kids is the most important thing. And I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad that they're actually giving us some kind of clarity, too.
Yeah.
Because it's not good. I feel bad for the guy because he is ultra talented. And I still like the guy. And I still want to see him do something, anything. But the verbal assaultage he's been receiving on social media has been incredible. I have no idea where this all stems from. It's like he's just a wrestler. He's just performing. He's just trying to do this thing. I get that he had all these great promos after you've been, crying for him to return since he got the day he got released. You wanted Bray Wyatt back. And they finally brought him back, and he was cutting all these promos. And then he had that dumpster fire of a match at the Royal Rumble. And then he Bobby Lashley, did a fucking gym workout video, and then he disappeared off of planet Earth. I'm glad that they gave us clarity. I'm curious what it would be that is causing these issues. It's not my, it's none of my business what the hell's wrong with him. And at the end of the day, I care more about him and his health and well-being than I am about me being entertained by him in the ring. But I would like to see him come back because I'm curious to see which route they go with it.
So it sounds like they're coming up with creative plans for him. I don't think that means that he's coming back imminently, but it sounds like they're coming up with plans for him for this year. So I guess we'll see what they come up with, what they figure out, but I would like to see them do more than what we saw with him in the 7 months that he was on the roster. I still, I was hopeful for the stairs match. We didn't get that. I'm hopeful next month for the Punjabi prison match. I don't know if we're going to get that. I'm going to say we're probably not getting that, and that I'll be sad about that. I would like to see Indus Sher in a tag team Punjabi prison match just to take it up to the next level. We already saw the Jinder versus Randy Orton in a Punjabi prison match. We have seen the Great Khali versus the Animal Batista in one of the worst matches that I have ever witnessed in my life. And we had a pretty good Undertaker versus the Big Show in the Punjabi prison match because